Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chrissy and this is my Cozy Corner. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about my most favorite Christmas books to read this season. So these are gonna be my top favorite Christmas reads. I'm also going to talk about some ones I feel like you should steer clear of, and then books that I want to read this Christmas season. But first, I definitely feel like I need some kind of sweet treat dessert, and I did make cheesecake recently, so I'm going to insert a clip of me making the cheesecake, and then we're going to cut ourselves a slice and make it look a little Christmassy for this video. So yeah, let's go do that. Start by preheating your oven to 325. Starting with the graham cracker crust. First, you're gonna need about 2 1/4 cups of graham crackers. It's about a pack and a half. And then I like to put it in the food processor to get it nice and crumbly. The next thing that you're gonna need is 1 stick or a 1/2 cup of salted butter, melted. I put it in the microwave for about 20 to 30 seconds. Now you're gonna wanna add 3 tablespoons of sugar for a little extra sweetness in your crust, and then hit the pulse button on the food processor. Now we're going to spray our baking sheet and start adding our crust to the pan, pressing down firmly until it's nice and flat and kind of compacted together. Now you're going to put your crust in the oven for 10 minutes. Now for our filling, we're going to need 24 to 32 ounces of cream cheese, depending on how cream cheesy you want it to be. And then we're going to add 1 cup of sugar to our mixing bowl. Next, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to our filling. Next, we're going to mix it on low with our paddle mixer. Obviously, this looks fast because it is sped up, but you want to mix it on low to avoid any cracks in your filling. Now add your 3 1/4 cups of sour cream to your mixing bowl. And then you're going to add 1 1/2 tablespoons of vanilla. Continue mixing this on low, and don't forget to scrape down the sides to get all the mixture. Now you're going to slowly add your 3 eggs while your mixer is mixing on low. After removing the graham cracker crust to cool, we are going to lower our temperature of the oven to 300. After our graham cracker crust has cooled, we will pour our mixture over the top and make sure to spread it out evenly. Next, you're going to bake your cheesecake for 30 minutes in the closed oven. Next, you're going to turn your oven off, and you are going to keep the cheesecake in the closed oven. Now, this process avoids any cracks in the filling. Once you close the oven door, you're going to set your timer for 20 minutes and continue waiting. Now we're going to crack the oven door and leave the cheesecake in the cooled oven for 15 minutes. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to make the strawberry topping. I'm going to start by cutting a cup of fresh strawberries and putting them in my little pot. Now I'm going to add a strawberry glaze. I found this in the produce section at Food Lion, and I add about a 1/2 to 3/4 of the bag. Now you're going to add 3/4 to a cup of sugar, depending on how sweet you like things. And then about a cup of water to kind of break up some of that glaze. Now you're going to bring your filling to a boil and then lower the temperature to medium-low, cooking until your strawberries are nice and soft. Once both the cheesecake and the filling is cooled, you're going to put the filling right on top of the cheesecake. Now I'm going to cover the cheesecake and put it in the refrigerator overnight because it's best when it's like super cold. Now it's time to Christmas this thing up, so I added some whipped cream and some edible green glitter. Voila. Now I highly recommend this recipe, so definitely try this, even if it's not Christmas. It's so good. So excited about this, and I did manage to make it Christmassy. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this. Oh yes. This is a very large slice because I have no just like willpower to stop myself. It's good. I was afraid you could taste like that green stuff, but I love strawberry cheesecake. I made it for my husband's birthday, and I was like, let me make this Christmassy. Okay. One more bite, and I'm gonna wash it down with some coffee, and then we can start these recommendations. This is so good. Y'all should definitely make this. Like, oh. Okay, one more bite. Last one. It's so good. Wash it down with some coffee. Okay, so let's get into these Christmas book recommendations. I have 7 books that I feel like were just exceeded my expectations, because I usually don't have too high of expectations for just like cheesy Christmas romances. So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Polite Before Christmas, and that is by Kate Stewart. Now, I know you've probably heard this author before. She is the author of the Ravenhood trilogy, Flock, Exodus, and The Finish Line. I was really excited when I saw that she wrote a holiday romance book, and let me tell you, this is a good one. So the 2 main characters used to date in college. So Whitney is our main female main character, and Eli is the male main character, and she hasn't seen him in many, many years. So her and her family go to their grandparents' cabin for Christmas, and her brother ends up inviting one of his co-workers that he feels like he just doesn't want him to be alone on Christmas to the cabin. And guess who it is? It's Eli, obviously. One of the things I loved about this was that it was a dual POV, so you get Whitney and Eli's perspective on things, and the writing was I really enjoyed the writing. It was really quirky. So here's an example. I'm just going to read one sentence on the back. It says, I fully intended to get into the holiday spirit with the help of the 3 wise men, Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels, and Jim Beam. That was a good one. So I did forget to mention that I am going to order these books from the ones I like the least to the most. I did love all 7 of these books, so this would be considered then number 7. All right, so then on to number 6. All right, and coming in at number 6 is going to be A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh. This one is a very short, quick, easy, cutesy little Christmas read. It was a lot of fun. You spend the entire setting, most of the time you are in a car. Obviously it says Cross Country Christmas. There is no spice in this one. Most of the books up here do have spice. The last one did. I'll mention if they have spice or if they don't have spice. So this one is about Lauren and Will, and Lauren had this huge crush on her brother's best friend Will for like her whole life, and something happens between them. Obviously we don't know it right off the bat, and she hasn't seen him in like 10 years, spoke to him, or even tried to think about him for 10 years. And her brother's having a baby, and he's like, you need to get here. And she is like, I don't like flying. So she absolutely hates flying. So he's like, you know what? Will drive you here. And of course she's mad about that. But Will, her brother's best friend, who she has a huge crush on, or had a huge crush on, ends up being the one to drive her. And they obviously bond in the car, talk about some things. And it was a lot of fun. So definitely highly recommend this one. Okay, so coming in at number 5 is going to be One Day in December by Josie Silver. This book has the whole love at first sight aspect about it. So it's about Lori and Jack, and Lori sees Jack and they connect, their eyes connect, and she's like, that's it, that's him. She falls in love at first sight, and she spends nearly a year looking for him, only for her best friend Sarah to bring him to a party and introduce him as her boyfriend. And of course Lori is devastated. And obviously this makes parts about the plot very tricky, having a best friend involved there. Now I felt like it was done pretty well. I did get mad at some parts. If you're looking for a cutesy Hallmark movie, this is not it. Although moments in this take place over the course of 10 years, very pivotal moments in these characters' lives, and they mostly take place in December. This is absolutely no way a cute like rom-com type of movie. It was actually pretty like solemn in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't say this is like a Christmassy book, but because it takes place in winter and years pass and a lot of those big plot points are happening in wintertime, that's why I would definitely recommend this for the season, but it's not like a Christmassy book. So the next book is by my favorite Christmas romance author. Granted, I've only read 2 books by her, but I feel like they've been bangers both times. Like literally bangers. But her settings are beautiful because they center around Ireland. I feel like just like the conversations and everything between characters are always just like so good, and the banter and the spicy scenes. So that's gonna be Snowed In by Catherine Walsh, which is not the same person as Courtney Walsh, because there was one up here by Courtney Walsh. Her covers are always super cute, but this one is 2 like old friends end up fake dating, and of course things get interesting, and then there is a snowy cabin where they get snowed in involved in the mix, which we love that. So that'll surely get you in the spirit for Christmas. But also the bottom says old friends, fake flames, new feelings. I mean, that describes it right here. She is great for her Christmas romance books. I haven't read her other just like regular romance books, but I'm telling you, these are just so good. The next book, which I'm in my top 3 favorite Christmas books right now, is gonna be by the same author, and that is Miss Catherine Walsh. Another freaking cute cover. I mean, ma'am, she is the queen of this sub-genre, I tell you what. But this one is another one where the setting is revolving around Ireland, which is so beautiful to read about. Now, this is about Molly and Andrew, and they meet on a flight and end up bonding and becoming fast friends. They're going from Chicago to Ireland, and every year they do that, so they decide because they have to do that every year, why not just sit next to each other? And over like 10 years, they end up becoming like really, really close, just sitting next to each other on a flight for like 7 hours, bonding, drinking, like just having a good old time with great conversation. I think it was so cute that they end up making this like a yearly trip just because they have to go there, and end up just like hanging out on the flight. Then their flight ends up getting snowed in, and Molly is okay with it. She doesn't mind spending Christmas in the United States, but Andrew is really upset because his family is very big on Christmas, and he's like, I have to get home. So Molly does everything in her power to try to get him home, and they end up, for once, after many, many years, hanging out, not just on the plane. And obviously it's a romance, so you know what happens next, but it was so good. I try to decide, do I like this one better or Snowed In? And speaking of Snowed In, these 2 are actually in the same universe. So Andrew's the main male character in this book, and his brother is Christian in this book. I would definitely read this one first because you end up seeing Molly and Andrew in this book like be already together and all that stuff in the background. So that was a lot of fun too, to like kind of see them again. So definitely this one, then this one. Okay, so the next one is by one of my favorite romance authors in general, and that's going to be In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This one is a Groundhog's Day, friends to lovers type of romance. I love Groundhog's Day stuff if done right, as long as it's not done cheesy, which there is a tad bit of cheese, but I was okay with it because of the whole Groundhog's Day situation. In this one, the 2 families always go on vacation with each other every single year to a little cabin in Utah, and they do all these like fun little Christmassy things. And our main character, May, has always had a crush on the other family that visits with them, on the bigger brother. His name is Andrew. She's always had a crush on him, but she's navigating this like Groundhog's Day. Every time something goes wrong, she wakes up and has to do it all over again until finally she gets it right. This was such a feel-good romance, and it just feels so magical and perfect for Christmas time. I also feel like I don't really like magical things in like realistic types of worlds unless it is like a Groundhog's Day type of thing, but it really like worked in this book. So I highly recommend this one. It's at my number 2 spot for a reason. All right, now my number 1 favorite Christmas romance book of all time. Definitely probably also in my top like 15 favorite romance books in general. But my favorite Christmas romance book is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borson. This was so good. It is the perfect friends to lovers, fake dating, save the Christmas tree farm, but not too Hallmark cheesy type of book. if that's the best way I could describe it. The main character is Evelyn and Luca. Their dynamic is so great, and the spice scenes, there's some good spice scenes in here. There's not a lot, but they pack a punch. And there's a deleted scene that they put at the end of the book, because this is from Evelyn's point of view, but the deleted scene is from Luca's point of view, and it's one of the spicy scenes in the book that I feel like was not like highlighted a ton. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, I still think about it. I think about it, and I read this I think last year or the year before. I think it was last year. So highly recommend for this season. I mean, if you don't like it, then I can't believe it. It's love it so much. All right, so now for Christmas books, I think you should steer clear of this season. I do not own these anymore. I did pass them along, so I will insert an image right here of the book. The first one is going to be Nick and Noelle's Christmas Playlist by Cody Hall. This book, I enjoyed the friends to lovers aspect of it and the spice, and I did like all the festivities happening in the book, but there was a moment with the ex-girlfriend that just kept coming up, and it made the book feel super juvenile, and every time I was enjoying it, those moments would just like take me out of it and make me roll my eyes. Those moments that really made me like want to stop reading the book altogether. They were very cringy and frustrating. I think if you want drama in a book, it could have been gone about in a better way, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely don't recommend that one. The next book is going to be by the same author, and that's going to be There's Something About Mary by Cody Hall. Now, I wouldn't say steer clear of this one. It was much better than her other book that I just mentioned, Nick and Noelle's Christmas Playlist. It was much better. It's actually the sister from the first book. She's the sister in the first book. And I don't know, I just didn't feel like it was like worth it. It was okay, let's just say that. It was just okay. If you were going to spend a couple weeks reading a couple Christmas books, I definitely would not put that high up on the list is all. The next one is going to be Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This one just felt overly raunchy, like unnecessarily raunchy. I love a good spice scene, but like spread them out. It just felt not Christmassy at all. It was not really what I was looking for. The only Christmassy part about it was her like decorating the shop window for Christmas. Like, other than that, it didn't feel Christmassy at all to me. I didn't like this one. The next book I would not recommend is the 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless. My problem with this book, it was cheesy, but my problem was she spends the whole time on these dates, and I feel like not enough time with the guy that she ends up with, who's obviously, he's been there the whole time type of trope, and they're friends, and then you spend a little bit of time with them together, but he's not even likable. So if he's not likable, then I can't read the book. Okay, so now for Christmas books that I plan to read this holiday season, the first is going to be 8 Perfect Hours. I believe the premise is she gets snowed in her car, and then he also does, and it's something like that. It sounds really cute. So this next one I saw Larry Reed's recommend, and that's going to be How the Grump Saved Christmas. And then we have Always in December. I think that this one is like she runs into a stranger, like he bumps into her mailbox or something like that, and they connect, and then he disappears and they reconnect. I think that's kind of the general premise of this one. The next one is A Season for Second Chances. Now this one, I think she's like, her kids are grown up, she's older, divorced, but it says second chance, so I'm not sure if it's with somebody she knew before or her husband, so I guess we'll see about that. So this next one I'm really excited about. That is the Second Chance Year. So I believe the main character is having just like the crappiest year. Like, something happens with her job, her boyfriend, her breakup. She's just like having a time. So she wishes for a redo, but then ends up kissing her brother's friend that night and connecting with him. And then she wakes up and she's able to redo her life with her ex-boyfriend, and then she starts to see like the red flags in him. So this sounds so good. It sounds very magical, and I'm really excited about this one. And I think this is more of like a New Year's one, I believe. All right, the next one, I haven't read any of these, but people love these like bake shop books. I got this in like a white elephant gift exchange at work, and it's Christmas at the Cupcake Shop. And I know they have like the pumpkin shop one, and they have all the like seasonal ones that people say are so cute. So I didn't get a chance to read this one last year, but I really wanted to, so I'm gonna make it a priority this year. And the last book that I want to read this holiday season is The Christmas Orphans Club. I don't know too much about this one. I just read the back and bought it because it sounded really cute. So yeah. All right, so there are my Christmas book recommendations, the top 7, lucky number 7. And of course, the books I want to read this holiday season. We'll see how many I actually get to, but thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found a good Christmas book recommendation in this video. I post videos every Sunday. I hope to see you then. Of course, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful day. Bye.